Well, hello, Abby.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Great to have you on the program. Where am I calling you? Where are you in the U.S.?
I am in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
So do you know where Wisconsin is? So
I know
we're
Wisconsin is.
Kind of right in the middle, a little bit south.
We just talked about beavers in our house because we got a new Labrador puppy yesterday, and apparently she has they call it a beaver tail, which is a little bit wider at the top. It helps them to swim, I guess. So
cool. Our mascot is the beaver.
Oh, is that right?
Beaver Dam Beavers.
You know, in cartoons, they always show beavers like with their tails like slapping down mud. But I read last year that's not true. They just use it for swimming. They don't actually slap anything. But I don't know. You guys probably know more than Wikipedia does.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not originally from Beaver Dam, so I wouldn't consider myself a beaver expert.
So you don't have the whole expertise, do you?
Right.
All right, Abby, introduce yourself and tell us what's hot in your pharmacy life right now.
Well, I call myself a functional medicine pharmacist. I am really trying to change my pharmacy from being a regular old dispensing pharmacy to a more clinical pharmacy, a wellness center, a place where people go to get off of medications instead. And hopefully, since we're talking about business, hopefully I'm getting paid for those services is kind of the whole,
helps.
Right. So trying to set up kind of a business model where I'm able to, have a different revenue stream that actually, in my opinion, helps people get better as opposed to staying sick. So that's kind of my pharmacy life. I don't know how much you know about my hometown pharmacy, but we're actually a group of, we call ourselves a group of independent pharmacies.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of transitioning a little bit to where I can actually go out to our other hometown pharmacies and help them, implement these same services and kind of mindset shifts. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, how many in that independent-ish chain then? How many hometown pharmacies?
So we are, I think we're up to 72.
Wow.
When Shopco closed, we got a big bump.
Now, did you come in fresh? Would you call yourself a pharmacy owner?
I am. I'm a partner. Yep.
Of how many?
In my one pharmacy. Yep.
And when did that come to be?
I think it's been almost 2 years now.
And did you guys start as a hometown pharmacy or did that transition?
So it started as a hometown pharmacy. I was not part of starting it.
Gotcha.
I came in as a staff pharmacist and then I became the manager.
Gotcha.
And then I became a partner.
All right. So how would that work that you're then, I'm sure you're not enemies with the other hometown pharmacies, but how would that work with you going to other pharmacies? Would then somehow the headquarters be in your plan be like paying you for that expertise to go around?
So it's kind of complicated and we're still trying to figure out exactly what the best way is. Essentially, I've been implementing this in my pharmacy, right? And I've been sharing a lot of the things that I've learned with hometown people just, for free. And what we're trying to kind of figure out is a way that, these other pharmacies can provide some sort of, skin in the game to have me come to their location, but also it benefits the company as a whole. So for our home office to kind of have some sort of skin in the game, I guess you would say. And so it's going to be a kind of a combination of both. I at least have to be able to cover, the cost of having someone else staff my pharmacy.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, at least covering that. And then it's kind of like what do you desire more kind of thing.
Right. And also for me, I would rather do that. I don't particularly love staffing, the checking of prescriptions part of pharmacy. And so that's more what I want to do. But also I think I have a lot of value to bring. So,
Yeah. And then you'll have to see too, because it sounds like there's three things. There's staffing a traditional pharmacy, being the clinical person in your pharmacy, but then over to the more administration side of helping with the other, 72.
Exactly.
Now, between those two, which do you see yourself between the clinical and the traveling administrator?
So my dream would be like half in my store doing clinical stuff and half helping others do those things. That's like my dream. Probably.
Are you just saying that so you sound like more helpful, or would you really would rather be more the traveling head honcho going around?
I mean, I think I'm going to like it.
But you don't know yet.
Yeah, I've been doing it kind of casually. So, via phone calls and via like a Skype situation.
Right.
And I really like it. But I also feel like, I guess we'll see. But if you do that full time, you lose a little of the, It's like, I don't know. I used to work for one of the chain pharmacies also. Right. And, our DMs would come in and they're, they tell you all these things and you're like, what do you know? You haven't been practicing for 20 years. Like, you know nothing. So,
exactly.
I want to.
It's kind of 50-50 now because
for now,
it's a good starting point until you say you don't like this or you like this one more.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. I'm hedging my bets, which is true, but.
Because I'd like to be more on the 72 side because then I'd have more places to hide.
Fair enough.
Versus just one. No, that makes sense. That makes sense to split those in your head. Tell me where this fits in, Abbi. When you and I talked before the program, we talked about the, initials, the CPESN. Now, how does that fit into what we're talking about here?
Yeah, so CPESN stands for Community Pharmacy Enhanced Services Network. So it actually started in North Carolina. They essentially kind of did what Hometown kind of did. They kind of banded together as independent pharmacies and kind of set this level of enhanced services so that they could go to payers, employers, and say, hey, we're a group of pharmacies. We all provide this enhanced level of services with regard to doing, med rec, appointment-based, comprehensive med reviews, delivery, med sync, all of kind of like the enhanced services. And we can provide better quality for your either patients or employees, and you should pay us for it. And it was successful. And so now it is a nationwide thing. I think most states have a start of a CPESN in each state, not all, but most. And it's just a matter of getting adequacy. So essentially enough pharmacies that you cover the whole state so that you have, bargaining power to be able to, and actually to be able to reach enough patients that you can have an impact. And so kind of the way that this fits into my story is that I really see CPESN as a tool for building that business model to be able to provide those services and get reimbursed for them. And so there are several states now that have contracts getting reimbursed for a variety of things. Last I heard, there was an opioid management one.
And when you say the states, like the state's Medicaid program?
So it's different. So not necessarily Medicaid. I know. So
something to do with the state, though. State employees or state something?
Nope. Private insurance and or state insurance. It's not necessarily one or the other.
But when you say the state, does that mean the state has like
the CPESN network in a state?
Oh, in a state, they have the right.
Yeah.
They're allowed to function in that state as a corporation and so on.
Correct.
Gotcha.
There's legal terms about it and.
Legal. Wait, this isn't the legal the legal pharmacy show.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know them. I just know that
we stay away from legal. We stay away from anything that has to do with medicine because I'm too old and dumb to remember that stuff. So it's the business stuff we like to talk about.
Got it. So yeah, so they form some sort of a network and then they're able to function together. And so I know North Carolina and I know Iowa. Randy McDonough in Iowa has like a per patient per month model with an insurance company where they get paid a certain amount of money per month to just manage the health of their patients.
Right. All right. So it seems to me in a program like that, you're only as strong as your weakest link participant. So I imagine that there's fairly strong, for example, one of the standards cannot just be like, we're nice. I mean, it's got to have some teeth to it to prove someone's to a certain standard, I imagine, right?
Definitely.
And you mentioned some pretty big ones of, across the board, but moved up a level. And so would that be a self-policing? So for example, there's a store that claims this, but I walk into one and they don't do it. Well, now I'm questioning the whole thing. So with your standards, how is that policed then?
Yeah, that's always the risk, right? You say we do all these things and then someone walks in somewhere and they don't do the thing.
I know it, and that's where you guys have solved this, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, so essentially each state has their own, they call them luminaries. So kind of people who coordinate the communication
Gotcha.
and addition, training if people need support.
Right.
The recruitment, all of those things. And so the other thing is you have to, they have a website where you can kind of report your address and all of the services that you provide.
Gotcha.
And that's done like by the pharmacy themselves. So kind of reporting into a database so that people can search. So that's just a little bit of accountability, because if you put it out into the the interwebs, it's there.
It's like on Facebook. You're not going to put a bunch of stuff about your pharmacy. Well, unless the marketing and the business part of things are opposite with each other, but.
Yep. So there's that part. The other thing is, one of the requirements is that you you complete and submit care plans or e-care plans. Have you heard of them?
Well, let's pretend I have, but for the listeners, let's explain it to them.
Okay, so quick version, a care plan is just like, we've identified a problem. Someone has, uncontrolled high blood pressure. We make an intervention, whether it's, adherence, MedSync, or recommending a medication change, or in my world, recommending nutrition or lifestyle changes, and then tracking the outcome of that. And so it's just, an e-care, all an e-care plan is documenting those interventions that we're having every single day and just documenting them. And so like our vendor, we're able to submit our e-care plans right through our pharmacy system. And so that's being submitted and gathered. And so that helps with both accountability to ensure that things are being done in all the pharmacies, but also the gathering of problems and interventions and data that pharmacies are doing every day and nobody knows about. And that we're able to take that information and go out to payers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I once heard that oil change places do a better job than pharmacies on documenting.
Yes.
And because they come up
We're
with
terrible at it.
15 things they've done, And I think pharmacies maybe haven't done it too, because it does hold them to a higher standard, where if you say, then we've done these 10 things with the prescription or with your profile, well, then you better have done them, and sometimes that's even hard to figure out even in one pharmacy. So, to get everybody in the same team.
Yep, for sure. Definitely a challenge.
If you could, would you like to see every independent pharmacy doing this, or would you say, I don't really want the one that's 2 miles away doing this? How do you see it as a nice forward move? Obviously, you don't want every pharmacy doing it, or else you maybe don't stand out as much.
I don't know. I guess, to be honest, like, I feel like all independent pharmacies need this.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't begrudge them, even if they were 2 miles down the street. I wouldn't, I would never say I don't want them to do it. And I just feel like, I don't even know what the saying is, the rising tide, whatever, all ships come,
everybody goes up.
I just feel like our reputation as pharmacists and pharmacies, if we can, improve that and raise that and bring it to a more like healthcare professional status, I think that's good for all of us. And so, and it's kind of like, I can tell people till I'm blue in the face that pharmacists are healthcare providers and we, clinical interventions and all of these things. But then someone goes into a super busy pharmacy and a pharmacist yells, "Got any questions?" Yeah. Like that, is bad for me too. So I don't know. That's kind of my opinion about it.
How do you guys and gals at your store promote this program?
So we don't necessarily promote CPESN
Because that's too vague for people.
Well, it's more of a framework for
your thing.
For like the business part.
Gotcha.
But what we do is we market some of the services that we do because of it. So
Gotcha.
we
Right.
have been on a really big MedSync kick lately. I was kind of weirdly resistant to MedSync, and then I went to a conference and talked to all of the famous pharmacy people.
Right. They're all liars, though.
Well, it was crazy to me that every single one of them was like MedSync. MedSync was the first thing I did that gave me time to be able to do all this clinical stuff. And I was like, really? And now I'm doing it. And I'm like, I think they might be right.
Are you serious?
I just hit 40% of my patients, and I like look around and I'm like, I have time. It's weird. I mean, I have 42 other things that I'm working on outside of the pharmacy stuff. So I always have something to do, but it feels so much more efficient that it's weird. I will just say.
I don't know about that, Abby. I'm not going to tell you how many times we've tried it, but we've tried it. And
it's the software.
It's a software.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but the one that we have is the one that all the other people have, and it is clutch. You don't lose people, like you don't accidentally miss their sync date. It prompts you, it does all the things for you. So all you do is the same stuff you always do. You just do it all at one time instead of 6 times during the month.
I don't know.
We'll have to schedule another call to talk about MedSync, I think.
One of my guys that was helping me on, I won't tell you what try this was, but he came in and he said, it's almost like people are sabotaging it.
Like employees?
Not like customers.
Customers.
Don't call. It's like you would have called, like he spent like a half hour with this person the day before, and the next day the person called like they had never called the pharmacy in their life, and they're asking for something that they just agreed on like the day before, Yes. And God bless the patient. I'm picking more on the idea than the patient because that's just human nature. Yes.
No. So 100%.
Prove me wrong.
No, there are people that will not. Just MedSync will not ever work because their adherence is like crazy, or they're constantly changing or whatever.
But they say they want to.
Yeah. So there are people like that, but it's like a handful, and you just get annoyed about those handful and forget about how efficient it makes all the other people. So you have more time to deal with those people that are screwing up your MedSync because everything else is like super easy, efficient.
You're at what? 40 what? 40.
We just hit 40%. Yep.
Of
all
your patients are on it?
Of prescriptions filled this month were filled through MedSync.
Dang.
Yeah. I'm told that's like the magic number.
We won't mention it right now, but I think I have the same software you do.
Okay. We can talk about it.
Maybe it's just a Michigan thing. Maybe we're just stupid over here.
No, there are some tricks that you have to know. And also, okay, so it's talking about business, right? So when you sell it to a patient, right, you can't say like, oh, do you want to enroll in our MedSync program? It will really help your adherence and, it's going to help my star. Like, no, like that's not what you say. You say, hey, you were just here yesterday. Would it be easier if I got them all ready so that you could pick them up all at the same time? Like sell it to them, like why it would be good for them. And then they're all over it. They're like, yeah, that would be amazing if I could just come once a month or once every 3 months or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose they don't even have to know that they don't have to know it's a service. No. It's just like you're helping them get it all together.
Oh, and would you like me to get your supplements on autofill with that too? Okay, amazing. I'm happy to do that for you as a service to you. See how you can do that?
I'm not going to tell the listeners right now, Abby, but I can see you pulled out your script and you're reading. No, I'm just kidding. No. I know you're really doing this, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to give it another try.
Okay, so also, let me just add on to the benefits. Oh, would you like us to sit down and do a med review with you when you come in and you get all your meds? We're happy to do that. Then when you sit down, oh, did you know that we have a weight management program? Oh, do you know we can do a nutrient depletion assessment for you? So I just feel like it allows you to, it opens the door to be able to have conversations about all these other services too, because
Yeah.
their meds are simple and easy and it's fine. Like we'll just get them all organized. And then we can work on like the health part.
Yeah.
Then we can, we can talk about, okay, you're on 4 blood pressure meds. What's going on? Is there something we can do about this from a nutrition lifestyle standpoint?
Yeah. And I imagine on their side too, that they've got some of the same issues on their side too, of like, oh, it seems like I'm calling the pharmacy every few days or running out of this, running out of that. And
yes.
So if you get them thinking like along that, hey, this is like once a month kind of thing, then they've got actually mental time to be able to buy into some of those programs and so on.
For sure. Absolutely. And then you get the people who are like, oh, but I like coming in to see you.
Well,
that's
it.
Okay.
That's it.
Then they don't go on MedSync, and that's fine.
We don't anymore, but years ago, the pharmacies had post offices and all that stuff, and there'd be people that would find a reason to come in once a day. That was their thing.
Well, we're in a grocery store. So we have, some elderly people literally go to the grocery store every day.
Oh, I bet.
Every day. And so they're like, why would I sync my meds when I am here every single day? It's like, good point. You don't need to sync your meds. That's fine.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I still try to sync people, even if they aren't super pumped about it. It's better for us to med sync. Right. Because it allows us to predict staffing. It allows us to have better control of inventory. It's more efficient for us. So if people don't care, I still try and enroll them. But if they're anti, obviously I don't. Yeah,
because if you're at 40%, that is true. You are predicting staffing. It's one thing being at 5% and creating this whole damn program just for this 5%. But at 40%, you're shifting. You're making some shifts.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I just feel like the more I can predict, because pharmacy feels so unpredictable.
Right.
You never know. Like Mondays are going to be busier. If it's the day after a holiday, it's going to be crazy. There are certain things, but then weather and events in the community, like you can't predict other things. And so anything I can do to, have some sort of a flexibility with the amount of work. So like I can run stuff in advance, or I can do it the day it's due. Like I have some flexibility. If we have a crazy busy day, we just don't work on any of our MedSync filling, and that's fine.
Yeah, and that helps, I'm sure, both logistically and also just mentally. If you can cut arguably 40% of the things down that you can predict them, that just makes a lot of things better.
Yeah, I think so.
How would somebody listening to us now take a step? Would it be getting in touch with CPESN, or if they haven't yet started a trial of doing some of these things first, or what do you think?
Well, CPESN has a ton of what they call service sets. So they have like a MedRec service set and a MedSync service set and all the different service sets. So it's kind of like best practices.
Right.
So, and they also have a bunch of resources for a bunch of different vendors to be able to do these services. So, in my opinion, if you're trying to become a pharmacy that is doing more services or wants to be able to do more services, CPESN is a really logical step to have access to the resources to provide the data that CPESN needs to then go to payers and also to then get the benefit of being able to get paid when that occurs in your state. So definitely reaching out to your state CPESN. Like I said, I think most states now at least have a small group of people. We just got, in Wisconsin, a board seat. We have 40, so we're super pumped about that. So I don't really know.
You got a board seat on the
USA CPESN board.
From your state?
Yeah.
How many are on that board?
I don't know how many are now. I think a bunch just got added because a bunch just hit a bunch of states.
Hopefully it's not over 50, or else you guys are...
Yeah, right?
Or else you should...
No, I think it's like, if
10,
I had to guess,
it's
like, 10 to 15.
Oh, that's cool. Good for you.
Yeah, we're excited.
That's cool. Pharmacists could just go online, look that up, and
if you just type in like CPESN in your state, it will come up. I think there's a specific CPESN website, and you can find...
go on that Google thing.
That Google thing, yeah. I probably should have had a link here for you guys.
No. People can, it's interesting because I'll talk to some business people and, friends and stuff that are thinking of ideas for businesses. And in fact, my best friend, he makes bird feeders in his tool and die shop. And he was pretty concerned that this company that was doing some of his website work had not re-upped his website name, and he lost it. But you just don't really, it doesn't really matter anymore with Google. When you're going on and looking up a pharmacy, it doesn't really matter so much anymore if it's something something.pharmacy or something RX or this or that, because Google is just pulling it up.
Because it can read your mind.
But in the old days, 10 years ago, it mattered because you couldn't find these things as easily. Now you could have just about anything for your website name as long as it wasn't derogatory if people happened to look in the URL and it had your competition's name on it or something like that. But you can be just about anything you want to be. Hey, Abbi, if you could do anything during your day as the owner partner and you had enough of the little people helping you out with, no, I'm just joking. But if you had enough staff doing everything else, what would you be doing all day?
If I was in my pharmacy.
Let's say business-wise.
Well, right now I'm working on a big launch for my weight management program. I really like the creative part. So creating programs, creating structure to be able to do my programs. So that's what I like to do. Like in the pharmacy, if I have a resident, and so he's been training this whole month, and so he's been doing a lot of staffing. And so I've had some, we'll call it free time, where I've been working on stuff. And that's what I've been working on is really trying to put a system in so that I can be getting people into my program while I'm going around the state training other people. And this is still kind of just clicking around in the background. So kind
of creating what now, for example, on that, how much are you depending on CPESN to help with that creation of things they have and people versus you making your own program?
So the weight management program is my program. And I would say I use CPESN resources as a starting point. I generally take them and, personalize them or... your own yeah, take. I do think, there's something to be said for like templated things because it's a really good starting point, kind of best practices. Yeah. But communities and pharmacies and staffing they're just different everywhere. And so to be able to take that stuff and kind of make it work in your pharmacy is important. Yeah. Trying to fit a square into a, I'm all with the metaphors that I don't actually know the actual thing. But you know what I mean.
I spent about 5 minutes a week ago trying to get out. I think I was talking to my daughter actually on the podcast. I was trying to get out that you create your own luck, kind of, and it took me about 5 minutes. I started with, you do 1,000 things and then finally I found the metaphor, but it takes some time. Sometimes. What do you hate about your day?
I don't love the just product reviewing part. We actually got, in order to solve that problem, I got one of my techs certified as a tech, so she can do final product verification. So really, anything that I don't like to do, I just really try to not do it.
So the tech is doing the final check.
Yeah. So we have the pre-check or the clinical review of the prescription separate from the product review.
Gotcha. So. Is that a state kind of setup thing?
Yep. Our state it was a pilot program. I think it's about to become, law or whatever, a rule.
So you're really doing the clinical thing and making sure it goes together and so on. And then they're trained to actually do the physical barcoding, checking up and things like that.
And we use barcodes in the filling process. So there's not too many mistakes that get through to the final verification. But actually my tech is, I don't know if I should say this on the radio. She's probably better at it than I am. She's like so detail.
She's going to ask for a raise.
Yeah, right. No, she's so good at it. And so then that just allows me to do other stuff. And so anything that I don't like doing in the pharmacy, I just really try to bring in people that either doing it or will do it or.
Well, I've always thought of that. It's like right now, if someone said to me, Mike, for your store, we're going to give you hundreds of millions of dollars to do all this and so on. And years ago, I might have said, well, to be the head of that, you're going to be basically sitting in a high rise in Chicago somewhere or something that big. I think now that I would do that, and earlier I'm not sure. Sometimes you just like to do certain things still. Mm-hmm. I've got like 100 things I should do around the house, and the one thing I don't mind is riding the lawnmower. Everything else I hate, but that I don't mind.
Yeah.
It's maybe the vibration and the hum of the lawnmower makes me forget about the other 99 that I'm supposed to be doing.
That's funny. Hey, whatever it takes.
What would you be doing, Abbi, if you were not in the pharmacy profession?
I don't know. Probably something like nutritionist or like, I don't know, yoga teacher. Something kind of holistic-y.
Something holistic-y.
Yeah. Like wellness-y, like I use the word holistic to describe what I do, but always with the caveat because it's not like woo-woo holistic. Like, I don't want to offend anybody, but like, energy healing or crystals, like not that kind of holistic.
Sure.
Just holistic in the sense that we're like taking the whole person into consideration, you know. So, but
that's a pretty I guess nowadays, that's a pretty wide definition, and you can put a lot of different stuff into it.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. What would you do right now if they said, Abbi, you got a year off. You can't do anything medical. Your business will be fine. You can't improve yourself. Like you can't go home and read books about this actual business. I suppose you could go to school. Was that what you would do?
I don't know. I am doing some training through Institute for Functional Medicine. And so I haven't been able to do the final step for that yet. So that is on my to-do list.
What is that?
Yeah. So the Institute for Functional Medicine, it's for practitioners. It's mostly targeted towards like physicians, PAs, NPs, like prescribers, to help them figure out how to incorporate functional medicine, to learn the science of functional medicine, and also like how to incorporate it into your business.
What's functional medicine? So
functional medicine is the idea that you're treating or managing the underlying cause. So blood pressure is always the example that I use. So if someone has high blood pressure, we know that we have to give them medication to bring down their blood pressure so that they don't have a stroke, right? Like, we know that, and that's science. Okay. We also, like, that shouldn't be the last step.
Sure, right.
Right. So we bring down the blood pressure so that no one, has a stroke, but also why do they have high blood pressure? Is it inflammation? Is it sodium? Is it sugar in the diet? Is it stress? Is it lack of sleep? Is it whatever? Yeah. And trying to address that reason. That's all functional medicine is. It's just trying to figure out what the underlying root cause of things is and treat that instead of just treating the symptoms. Yeah,
that's cool because
it's like it always should be that way, but it's not.
There's not really all that many things as it comes down to it, because you could say a ton of them is probably the people's diets and obesity, but that's a little bit higher level too, because that's probably usually going down to a mental, like maybe a self-love kind of thing.
Sometimes.
I mean, it probably gets pretty narrow.
You can go down a rabbit hole, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is obesity caused by the foods that they're eating? Is it caused by a mental health condition, or even just kind of an addiction? Is it caused by,
or sometimes it's
microbiome, right? Yep. Your microbiome, socioeconomic, it's a lot of things. And so identifying the root cause isn't always super easy. The good news is that there's a lot of times kind of like low hanging fruit that we can address. Like, oh, you're only getting 3 hours of sleep a night. Let's work on that first. Right. Yeah. And you can kind of what I do, since I'm not a prescriber and I can't do some of the testing and some of the things, I always start with those low hanging fruits, and people get better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun for me and for them.
Yeah. It's amazing to see that.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that obesity could be caused by 1.5 quart of Breyer's butter pecan ice cream each night?
Every night, maybe.
I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah, right, of course.
Abbi, nice talking to you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you too.
Yeah, thank you. Best wishes and everything. How can people reach out if they have questions on what we did here? What's the one best way to get a hold of you?
Probably send me an email. I'll give my email address, I guess. How many people you got listening to this?
Billions.
Okay.
There's going to be a brownout in your city from the energy that I have so many listeners. It's just your pharmacy won't even be able to function.
Okay, well, I better not do it then. I have a Facebook page called Evolve Wellness with Dr. Abbi. That's more for clients, though.
Okay, but someone could message you from there.
Sure. Sounds good. So it's Evolve Wellness with Dr. Abbi.
ABBI. ABBI.
Yep.
All right. Very good, Abbi. Nice meeting you. I hope to keep in touch.
Nice meeting you as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.